On the plane, on my way to New York to complete my 6-star journey, I happened to be watching the film that's called Love Actually. Whilst watching it, something really resonated with me in correlation to the narrative of the movie at both the start and the finish. Now, for those of you that haven't seen it, it focuses on the arrivals lounge at Heathrow Airport, the scenes of elation, love, hugs, joy, and at times relief as loved ones come through those doors from anywhere in the world. Who knows what journey they've been on to get to that door and come through that gate. And this is something I see, feel and experience at the finish line of races, and none more so than at that finish line of the New York Marathon in Central Park, following my 26.2 miles to reach that very point. The journey itself was far longer than 26.2 miles. It spanned 3 years and started with a prolonged training block aided by COVID cancellations of races on the way to grabbing my first star at the London Marathon. This was a race I had decided to complete dressed in a full panda costume to help raise awareness and funds for a charity that was very close to me and ultimately probably the reason I started this Abbott 6-star journey. It was a lot tougher than I predicted and a hot day in London, but determination and a passion for the charity I was running for drove me forward to finish it and grab star number 1 at the beginning. Star number 2 at Berlin and star number 3 at Chicago followed in the autumn of 2022. With that myth of my hometown London slowly dwindling away as that platform of prestigiousness as the holy grail of marathon running that I always looked to. Chicago was ultimately to blame for this, with my broadened ambition and love for running these large-scale races in the USA now taken to a new level. It broke me physically, and at 20 miles, being only 14 days away from completing Berlin, but that didn't take away the experience and that feeling of love for running at this marathon. Definitely one of my favourites. I was now halfway on 3 stars. Following Chicago, that realisation that the 6 stars was now possible became a focus in my mind that dominated nearly everything I do for the next 13 months. A lucky ballot application place in February followed for Tokyo Marathon, and although the 14-hour flight and the 9-hour time difference made the 5 days really intense and fatiguing, that medal came home around my neck, and ultimately one of the toughest ones logistically was now completed, and I had star number 4. For me, on a personal level, marathon running will always culminate at the Boston Marathon. This is the absolute ultimate of running aspirations among many marathon runners, and predominantly those 6-star chasers. Pre-Berlin, I ran a Boston qualifying time at Edinburgh Marathon, and my application was accepted, verified and inducted for the 2023 Boston Marathon race. Some 12 months later, on Patriots Day, April 17th, I ran the Boston Marathon, and it's an experience and day I will never ever forget. Notoriously difficult in nature and demanding on the legs, I finished with a head filled with anticipation and thoughts of being only 6 months away from completing that challenge. New York, a city I visited on quite a few occasions prior to this trip, but this time it was so different. From the early morning check-in at Heathrow, emotion became an overwhelming factor of every minute and every thought for the foreseeable 4 days ahead. The expo, the holding of the medal, the parade of nations, the shakeout runs, these only increase the excitement of the need to just get this race started. Emotion, as well as the bridges and hills, undoubtedly got the better of me on race day. At 20 miles, the quote, finish lines as opposed to finish times became a loud noise I was listening to more and more. The decision to drop the pace and focus on the medal ahead was easily made, and the final miles began. My daughter at mile 25, my wife collecting star number 5, just a few miles behind me, with other friends out on course, others tracking me back home, all of them a massive part of this journey all over the world. My thoughts, my headspace, totally consumed with reflection and not anticipation. Crossing the finish line, my body telling me both physically and emotionally that this was done, a chapter complete, became humbling as much as it was of elation. Once the tears passed and I got myself together and that medal was collected around my neck, the 6 stars completed, I turned, looked back at that finish line, the arrivals door. I watched as others come through with that look on their face, that embrace by a stranger, the emotion of relief and achievement. Where had that person come from? What was their journey? This for me is what marathon running exudes in masses. and the Abbott's 6 stars majors finish at the same time that day, New York City 2023, just intensified and elevated all of this to something I will never ever forget.